welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be following up with the Getting Started Musky Fishing series, and as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking release tools. This is a big deal in the muskie world because all the time we are releasing muskies. Muskies are not a fish where we're consuming them or keeping them. They are being let go. They are a sport fish and they are a limited resource. So taking proper care of these fish is a big deal in the muskie world and is extremely important to a lot of people. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering some of the tools that you'll want to be considering to add to your arsenal if you plan on muskie fishing. So in no particular order, I'm just going to kind of run through all the tools that I'm carrying on board. I guess I'll start with the no-brainer things first, but a dedicated muskie net is huge. Any sort of net with a huge basket is going to be ideal because when you land this fish, you want to leave it in the water. You're not netting the fish and bringing it on board. You're keeping that fish in the water so it can rest, it can stay oxygenated. I think the biggest thing to consider when shopping for a net is, of course, the size, but also the weight. If you're going to be fishing alone, you want a light net, and I fish alone 99% of the time. I run a Frabill conservation net. I think it's the lightest net on the market. I've ran it for pretty much my whole time muskie fishing, and it is very manageable. Some of these muskie nets are really heavy, but this is a nice manageable muskie net. If you plan on measuring your fish, I highly suggest investing in a muskie bumper. I know these aren't cheap. They're a little steep, especially for somebody who just might be getting into it, but if you know you're going to stick with muskie fishing, this is a great investment, I will tell you that. It's going to keep the slime on the fish. It gives you very clear markings, so you're sure that you hit the red and the green. And they're built really nice. They store really easy. Obviously, it folds up, and again, it's great for the fish. Great to handle solo. Some of the smaller bump boards, like the cheap Rapala bump boards, yes, they will work, but as an effective way to measure and as an effective way to keep slime on the fish, it's not very ideal. So if you plan on muskie fishing, I highly suggest investing in a muskie bumper. Moving on to tools here, obviously your no-brainer tools you're going to want to have on board anyways. So scissors and basic pliers, you want those on board. But with the plier thing, I always carry just a huge number of different pliers. I have a box full of tools. And just different pliers. I mean, this is just a shorter pliers, which has its time and place, believe it or not. If you're looking for one pliers, I recommend I think it's like the 11-inch Rapala needle nose pliers. That's kind of what I've ran most of the time. It'll do everything decently well. Again, you want something that's long so your hands aren't near those teeth. You know, just having a variety of tools on board is never a bad idea because fish eat baits unpredictable. There's no set way that these fish are ever going to eat a lure, so being prepared for any situation that might arise is a very important thing. So I have different pliers that I carry with me. This is something I just got in the mail today. This is a hook out tool. Again, very long. I can reach that into the net, down to the fish. It's got a little hook on the front there, which I can just grab onto the hook. And again, it keeps my hands away from the fish's mouth, so I'm not ever risking getting cut or bit or any other disaster that might happen when trying to remove hooks out of a muskie. Another thing that you're going to want for that release process, and this might sound a little bizarre to beginners, but you want bolt cutters. There's never a certain way these fish will eat your lure, and sometimes you get all 3 hooks in, and you're going to want bolt cutters to cut those hooks. Prices range on these. Some of them are very expensive. This is one. I'll link it in the description. This is like $15 from Musky Shop. It'll work. You might be able to find something in your garage. This is something that I used for a while. It's rusty, it's gross, but it did the job. Not probably ideal, not an ideal angle on there, but again, this is one on Musky Shop. Hook cutters, 15 bucks. Pretty priceless. You're going to use it. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to be a waste of money. And if you're going to be cutting hooks, having split ring pliers is also a big thing too, so you're prepared to replace hooks on your baits, or God forbid anybody ever gets hooked and you want to remove that hook off the bait. Going to make that situation a lot easier. Jaw spreaders, this is another no-brainer for most people. For how cheap this tool is, there's really no excuse to not have one of these. We all know what a muskie's mouth looks like, and I think the last thing anybody wants to do is stick their hand anywhere near that. Having a jaw spreader is to open that fish's mouth and safely access those hooks without risking any sort of damage to your hands. I've been there. It's not fun. The last thing here that I'm going to mention, that I'm going to lead off with here, is have your tools in an accessible place so you are prepared, because the last thing anybody really wants is to have an angry muskie that's rim hooked or got the net all tangled up with it or upside down in the net, and you are trying to run around, front to back in your boat trying to find your release tools. I always just carry them right where I fish. So I have this basket down here that you can't see. I carry all my tools in there. So the minute I do net a fish, I know where everything is. I might have to kind of sort through it, but I know that all the tools that I'm going to need to deal with this fish are going to be right where I always do deal with the fish. Because I fish out of the back of my boat. I keep everything right where I need it. All of my my bump board is stored back here. So just keeping everything in an arm's reach is very important. But with that out of the way, that's kind of everything that I'm going to cover here in today's video. I'm sure by Musky people's standards I missed something. So if you have any questions or any suggestions, or I guess whatever you want to put in the comments below, I'll read them. I'll do my best to respond. And I will see you guys soon. Hopefully this weekend we're going to be doing some crappie fishing. But I got some other things kind of going on behind the scenes that are very exciting. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.